Today on Auto Aficionado, we're going to be revisiting Paul Negro from Grassroots Performance and looking at how you can take a turbocharged drift car and transform it into something else completely, a naturally aspirated LS1 powered GT race car. It's here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park where Paul and his team will compete in the CASC Pirelli Sprint Series for their first event. Their weapon of choice? A V8-powered Nissan 350Z, which in its previous life was built for something else completely.
Paul's GT race car began life as a stock 350Z, and at the time, it was created to do one thing and one thing only: go sideways.
The first take on the 350 when we were making the jump from amateur to more of a pro series was the original VQ35, so a 3.5 liter V6 in that car. Probably out the box is gonna be, if you're lucky, in and around 300 horsepower, if you're lucky, right? So I turbocharged that motor right away. So 3.5 liter with a front mount turbo. It was a custom setup that I first built out of plumbing pipe that my dad had. And then I got one friend to weld up the pipes, another friend to hook me up with some of his old racing parts. I got Alex to do all the wiring on it. Despite all the work and effort we put into that kit, it made just enough horsepower, 420 horsepower, and then it exploded the first time we drove it. So like, we pushed it to its limits, but it was well beyond the capabilities of we were asking from it. So I'm not even upset at her. She rest in peace, but we jumped to a 5.3 V8, actually out of a Chevy Express van. So like, if you see like a work truck driving by, that's the engine we took. We put some go fast bits on it. We did a cam, head gaskets, oil pump, just some stuff to make it reliable. It had over 200K on it, so she was already loose. We threw another truck turbo on it, and then we cranked her to 10 PSI, and the guy called me from the dyno. He's like, Paul, how much horsepower do you want? Because the first pull was just 550. I'm like, let's leave it at that. He's like, no, we can get more. I'm like, let's just leave it. So we tried to keep it conservative, but yeah, for 3 years we put gas and we put oil, turned the key, and we let her go. We actually got invited to race GT series, which is like wheel-to-wheel sprint series. And when they came by to check my car out, they said it was a little too cowboy, right? Which I don't blame them. There's a hole in the hood, that turbo's out the front. So we took that engine out and we actually got an LS2 out of a Cadillac CTS-V. So it's pretty much a Corvette engine with transmission. It's gonna be clean, reliable, 450 horsepower, naturally aspirated, no turbo. And we're gonna try our luck in the GT series next year. So we still have that car. We're still gonna run the same car, but totally different setup. It's gonna be to go fast around a circuit, not to let her hang sideways on the weekends, you know? Today we're at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We're participating in the CASC Pirelli Sprint Series, and we're running our 350Z in the GT4 class. This series has been around for a pretty long time. There's a lot of different types of racing going on. There's vintage racing, there's open wheel racing, there's a championship, separate championship going on at the same time. So all day long for 3 days there's racing, and I'm happy that we're here. I'm happy that the car's staying together. And like I said, if the car keeps itself together today, I think we can have a pretty good result. So basically I've had this car almost 10 years now, but it started its life as a regular street car. It was crashed, insurance, auction, ended up in my hands. And this was actually a full drift car. So we drifted this car for about 10 years. So it's had the stock motor, boosted, it's had a turbo V8, it's had the angle kit, rear rad. This was like full-blown drift car. So now we've converted it to a GT touring car. So front and rear subframes now are grip kits instead of angle kits. Cooling is all up front. Standalone management, dry sump, oil system. And yeah, we just went with a straight 6-liter V8, no turbo, no supercharger. So it was making 600 plus with the turbo and the other engine, and now we're sitting around 450, but this is much more usable horsepower. So going around a track like this, you can feel the car, you can learn the car, and I think we're doing great for our first event. Everyone's happy to see us here, and the car is showing well. So I think it's looking good on Grassroots team as a whole. All right, I'm going for a start. Yeah, so basically the drift setup, you have max angle in the front up to 70 degrees, maybe more. You have really high horsepower, and you're only running for about a minute, 90 seconds at best. This car here, lower horsepower, way more grip, but you're running for 20, 25 minutes at a time, 4 or 5 times a day. So there's a lot of seat time, there's a lot of run time. So you can get away with drifting, you know, something happens, you can patch it up, get through the next pass, but with this racing, your car's gotta be on point, you gotta be on point. The safety regulations are way higher than I've ever felt with drifting. So, I mean, drifting's great, I'll always love it, but wheel-to-wheel racing is definitely a crazy experience that I'm glad that I'm back in. With drifting, I mean, I was in it for a long time, so I knew everybody that was there. I knew how things worked. I knew how the events were organized. Something like this, on a much higher caliber of racing, there's a lot of different racers here. There's a lot of different levels of racing. But the etiquette, everyone's got to have that really high etiquette. So I mean, keeping it under control and looking good is also a part of the game here as well. So we're doing our best to keep it clean. But at the end of the day, racing is racing. So anything could really happen, just like drifting.
Well, your brakes are cooked in the back though, too.
Like really hot?
Oh, you know what? Look, that axle boot's broken too. Yeah, so both axles on both sides. Dude, it's something to do with this angle kit.
You think so?
100%. Hondo P, it is something to do, because look how this is bloated. Look under here.
I can see it.
Right, like look how bloated that is. Like that's ready to blow.
Yeah, why?
Because there's too much tension on the axle when it goes up.
This is TSN. Well, yeah, yesterday was a crazy day. Practice and qualifying in the wet. I blew an axle. Guys got the new axle in, no problem. Blew a little clip off my pump. Guys got the clip in, no problem. Did a decently quick lap in the rain. Unfortunately, our rain setup didn't work too well as far as fitment, so we actually ran the slicks in the wet, and we found some grip and managed to qualify 9th and finish 3rd in the actual race. So we're off to a good start, but I hope today we can progress and get a little bit better in the standings. I want to say thank you to all my sponsors for pitching in, helping out, and getting us to this point. I'm going to do my best in my office to get us on that podium. So keep an eye out, and hopefully I'll see you guys there.
With a new car and new sponsors, Paul and the Grassroots team are looking to make their mark in the GT Sprint Series and take home that podium win.
For more episodes of Auto Aficionado, make sure to like and subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments. Until next time, stay tuned.